Loyal Pup. When Megan set eyes upon little Otis, she fell instantly in love. Otis was the cutest little puppy she had ever seen, and he just had to be hers. Otis was beyond adorable. His black frizzy hair, crazy personality, and wet little nose were amongst some of the things Megan adored. When Megan and her family brought little Otis home, his joy could not be contained. He barked with gratitude and darted across the house, wagging his tail and spinning in circles. Everyone adored little Otis, and Megan nicknamed him her little potato because amidst all the spinning and chasing of his tail, out of the corner of her eye, he just appeared to be a wonky potato possessed with happiness. Otis had found his forever home, and he loved Megan just as much as she loved him. The years passed by, and they both grew together. No matter what Megan was experiencing or what the fates decided, Otis was by her side, loyal, loving, committed, and always ready to make her smile. Megan's love for Otis grew as fast as his fur, and she never failed to thank her little potato for his loyalty. One challenging season, however, Megan's smile faded, and no matter what Otis did, he could not make Megan smile again. He tried all his doggy tricks, like standing on his back legs and clapping his front paws, dancing in a tiz, and even trying his impression of a cowboy drawing guns at noon, but nothing worked. And still Megan's smile eluded him. Melancholy and forlorn, Otis retreated to the garden to rest a while beneath the great family pine tree planted majestically by the back gate. Otis gave a big sigh and rested beneath the shade of its aromatic branches. Just as he closed his eyes, something hard landed on the top of his head with a loud plop, causing the little pup to sit up with a start. What was that, he thought, when suddenly it happened again. This time, Otis looked up to see a busy little squirrel scrambling across the pine tree's leafy assault course. Otis could barely contain his excitement. Oh, how he loved squirrels and how he loved to chase them. In fact, it was one of his most favourite pastimes in all the world. Bouncing and turning, Otis began to spin, barking at the top of his lungs. So loud was this rambunctious sound, Megan was prompted to peer out into the garden to see what all the fuss was about. By the time Megan reached Otis, he had already darted off, chasing the squirrel like a mad dog all round the garden. It was the most hilarious sight to behold. "Otis!" Megan cried out. But Otis was oblivious to her call. So enraptured with the squirrel and their speedy adventure, he hadn't even noticed Megan entering the garden. It wasn't long before Megan was chasing Otis, Otis was chasing the squirrel, and the squirrel was chasing the pine cones. Until finally, the squirrel darted under the fence, across the neighbour's lawn and over their gate, leaving Otis with nothing but dust in his eyes and the memory of a wild chase in his heart. However, the adventure wasn't quite over for little Otis, for the squirrel had led him to a spot at the end of the garden that he had never explored before, and everything inside of him told him to dig and dig, and he most certainly did. Using his front paws, he furiously burrowed, and when Megan finally caught up with him, she found him with his little bottom in the air and his tail wagging more excitedly than ever before. The sight that met Megan's eyes was too adorable for words. Her heart was filled with love, and a smile spread across her face. Joy had finally returned to her being. She sat down, cross-legged on the lawn, and watched as Otis continued to dig and dig and dig. Suddenly, mid-burrow, he stopped still. His little body froze. Megan could hear him sniffing loudly. Otis had obviously found something. I wonder what it is, thought Megan. And as soon as this thought left her mind, his tail began to wag and he reversed out of the ditch and straight into Megan's lap. Otis, she laughed, you gorgeous little pup. What have you found? With that, Otis opened his mouth and dropped an acorn into her open hand. Megan beamed with joy, and Otis licked her happy face. Otis had finally made Megan smile again, and just as the tiny acorn grows into a mighty oak, so did their love.